Hey y'all, this is Divine Forever. Y'all, someone back to share more testimonies. I'm about to just start push your testimonies out. So, the Lord Jesus Christ has called me to give my testimony in song. So, I am called to give my testimonies in songs. It was prophesied over me a long time ago when I was young that people would be healed, delivered, and set free through my testimony and song. That people would be delivered, healed, and set free through my testimony and songs. So that's why I have this. I'm putting these out here. It's because the Lord has called me to do so, and I have to be obedient to the Lord. If you go back and look at some of my testimonies, it explains. I have testimonies about the obedience part, things that I've been through with being disobedient. So that's why I'm here, being obedient to the Holy Spirit, pushing out these testimonies so that people can be healed, delivered, and set free. All right, so y'all, this stuff hard to talk about. But I'm gonna talk about it because it's gonna help somebody. The whole entire reason for these testimonies is to help someone. Okay, so my biological father and my mom, they divorced when I just turned 8. So my mom and father was in ministry together. She kept doing the ministry, even after they divorced. And I remember she would take myself and my brother with her to go to do ministry. And it was this area, they called it Candy Corner. Candy Corner, y'all. They called it Candy Corner. And I remember she had a big old fish fry. She would take it out there with the propane gas and the grease, and she fried fish. And she gave fish sandwiches out, free fish sandwiches, drinks. So she fed the hungry and the poor. And I remember she would haul all her stuff out there with her too. Her microphones, speakers, drums, a little piano, organ, one of those little keyboards. She dragged it out there. And she would be right down that street called Candy Corner, y'all. Now this area is where the drug addicts was at, the prostitutes. This was a rough area. This where you down there, you hear gunshots, you can get shot up down there. She was in a rough area. So we was in a rough area. So but she didn't never worry about none of that. She always kept us covered in prayer. Even as children, she showed we would fast and pray. Every Saturday, every weekend, we would fast. So we understood about fasting and praying, and how to be covered in prayer before you go do the work of God. So let's go back to us being out there. So she out there, done fry her little fish, and she had people too to help her. She had a ministry, and she still, she had people to come along, to help put their hands together, that got saved up under her ministry, that became born again up under her ministry. Everybody put their hands together to help her. So, she they out there frying the fish, got a little table set up, hot sauce, fish, plates, drinks, ice, soda, canned sodas, Got that set up there, giving it away free to the people. Chips, hot dogs for like the kids that didn't eat fish, hamburgers for like the kids. My brother be out there playing the drums, boom, 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 playing the drums. My mom out there preaching on the microphone. They got a little keyboard out there. One of them playing the keyboard, somebody playing the keyboard. And me, I was sing. She would give me the microphone to sing. So, y'all, I remember seeing a lot of people get saved and healed up under my mama ministry. A lot of people. So now let me just go back. My mom had been divorced from my daddy maybe almost close to maybe a year. I say about 7 months, about 7 to 8 months. She had been divorced from my dad. So when we was out there on Candy Corner, my mama ministering, feeding the people, it was this one man that she was drawn. They just, I guess they was drawn to each other. And he wasn't saved and filled. He was a sinner. Let me just say this, because we're all sinners saved by grace. He was an unbeliever. Let's say it like that, an unbeliever. So I remember seeing her interact with him, and I you know how your kids notice things. So after that day, maybe it was probably like, I feel like maybe a month later, my mama took us, we got in her car, she packed us up, got in her car, and she drove to this little house. And we went, when we got out of the car, we walked in the house. The house didn't have no water. It didn't have no lights. We walked in and it had a bad smell. It was beer cans and just liquor bottles everywhere. And then the man that was there, that was his house. And then so the man that we seen her that I remember seeing her interact with back when, that day that she was ministering to the people, feeding the people. So I can recognize him from that. And then so we're in the house, we're there, and she picks him up. He gets in a car. Then the next thing you know, y'all, I feel like it probably was maybe a week later, 2 weeks later, maybe, they were married. And I remember as a kid trying to figure this thing out, because I remember seeing the house with no lights, no water, and I remember he was a drunkard. He was drinking, he was drunk. And next thing you know, I feel like maybe it was 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month, they were married. Next thing you know, they announced they're getting married. We go down to my grandmother's house out of state. They get married at my grandmother's house. One of my mama's good friends that she knew, a pastor, married them. And they was married. And I remember it was like shortly after they married, I believe it was maybe like a week or two. I feel like it was a week or two. I remember I was in my room laying there, and I wake up out of my sleep. And I'm thinking about the dream I had. I had a dream that my grandmother, like she was it's like she was in a spaceship, and she came to the house. And I walked outside and I was looking up at the sky at her, and she asked me if I wanted to come with her. And I was like, no, I don't want to come with you. And then so when in the dream, when I woke up, all I know is as soon as I wake up, my mom is like, y'all pack y'all going to grandma's suitcases. Me and my brother had going to grandma's suitcases. I had a pink one, he had a blue one. So we started packing up that stuff, listening to them. So grandma was in the hospital getting ready to pass. So we on our way there, packing up our stuff on our way there. All of us, my stepfather, we go. And when we get there, before we got there, she passed. We stayed there for the funeral. And I remember at the funeral, my mom, she was sitting right here next to me, and on the side of her was an empty seat. I remember she started screaming and yelling and just praising God at the funeral. She was just loud. You know how at funerals people usually just, be silent. She, oh my God, speaking in tongues, all kind of stuff. So later on, after the funeral, she said, no, I'm sorry. In the funeral, she done stood up and said that my grandmother had just appeared to her and said that I'm giving you my strength. And my grandmother imparted her strength into my mother. So that be that. Funeral over. We come back. We come back home. Y'all. My mama worked overnight. She was a LPN, a nurse, and she worked privately. I know she had worked for this man that owned all the banks in that area. So she worked overnight to take care of him. And so, y'all, I remember this one night she was working overnight. Y'all, me and my brother, like I said, I was 8. My brother, I'm 2 years older than my brother, so he had to be about 6. So, y'all, it's like wee hours in the morning. My mom didn't go work overnight till like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. So she gone. Y'all, I feel like it was probably maybe about 1 o'clock in the morning. My stepfather, now mind you, he's an alcoholic. He done packed me and my brother up. 1 o'clock in the morning, got us in the car. Y'all drove down there to Candy Corner. Drove us down there to Candy Corner. And y'all, he went inside the club and left me and my brother in the car. And I remember hearing gunshots, people on drugs, drunk, falling over the car. Just, stuff that me and my brother was not used to seeing. They doing drugs out there, smoking dope out there, drinking, smoking dope. I ain't talking about no, I'm not talking about dope, marijuana. I'm talking about smoking crack out the crack pipe. Right out there. All in the open. My stepfather drunk. So I remember crying. I was me and my brother was so scared. We were crying and everything. And I remember my stepfather had a real good friend. And I remember he walked over to the car. He said, man, why you got that lady kids out here this time of night around this stuff? Why you got that lady kids out here like that? And then I remember he took my brother and I out of the car and he took us into the store. The store, it was a store next door that was open 24 hours. He took us in there and he let us play video games, you know, trying to keep our mind off of it. So, I guess when my stepfather got finished doing what he was doing, he put us back in the car, drinking and driving, y'all. I remember too, he was weaving it out. He was drunk driving, weaving it out. Surprised he didn't get pulled over. So we get to the house. And I remember when we get to the house, we probably been an hour. My mama starting to pull in. And I remember I told my mom about it. I told her about it. And I remember after I told her about it, and I guess she had confronted him about it, he came. At that point, y'all, he hated my guts. It started from there. I was a little girl now, about 8. He was like, you bitch, you a effing lie, cussing me out, y'all, like I'm a grown person. You effing B. You a effing B. You a effing liar. You're all y'all cussing me out. Oh, you see the boy, you call your tire, sir. Oh, you call the boy, you see. Oh, you tire, see. And I just remember my mom telling my mom, and I the only thing I remember, I don't remember her. I remember her staying with him. I remember him after I spoke, told my mom about it. He started treating me really bad. So yeah. It is done. That's it for now, y'all. I'll be back with the rest of that. Be blessed.